The single life addiction. You're over 40, you're educated, you're attractive, you're highly successful, and you're single. Sisters, I want to talk to you today. It's a very serious conversation, but let's try to lighten it up a little bit so that we can get through it. The single life addiction looks like the used car culture. I'm going to paint this scenario because it helps us to get into the subject. The used car buying experience is one where the brother is out looking at used cars. He's not looking for anything specific, just something that captures his attention, that looks like it's been well kept. He sees a particular vehicle and he goes over to the vehicle and he's looking at it closely. And it always follows the same line of questions. He says, "How much for this one?" The salesman quotes him a price. The next question is, "How many miles?" Now this is more important, than the price itself, because the number of miles on the car dictates what the car is actually worth. And so there's a certain number that represents too many miles. And so the brother will then say, "Well, I can't give you that much for a car with this many miles. Now the body looks good. Was it a one owner vehicle?" And the salesman says, "Yes, it was a one owner vehicle. I have the paperwork, the maintenance records, and so on and so forth." And this helps to comfort the would-be buyer, and he has to determine what he's going to do or how he can benefit from purchasing this vehicle. So he thinks to himself, I've always wanted a car like this, and because it has so many miles on it, best thing I could probably do is drive it on the weekends, and then I'll use my other car as the everyday car. I'll use my other vehicle, which is a little newer, a lot more dependable. I can drive that one to special occasions. This one will be my play car. I'll drive it on the weekends. The single life addiction. This is today's hashtag relationships topic. I want to reference the R&B group Cameo. It was featuring Larry Blackmon, and he said, "Just like a car, I'll drive you out of your mind. It's always the first step in us having a good time. We've become good time seekers, pleasure seekers, and the culture, the single life culture, has become somewhat of an addiction, much like the gambler who is not necessarily interested in winning as much as he is interested in gambling." And so today, sister, the addiction, the single life addiction, has nothing to do with finding love, has nothing to do with finding that special someone. It's the buzz that you get from the search. Now, you're over 40, over 50, educated, beautiful, sexy, you're fine, and all of these things. You can do and get what you want, but you don't want to marry. You don't want to share space with a man, and this is what you promote. You promote temporariness. But Bobby Womack said, if you think you're lonely now, wait until tonight. Let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Lenny Williams said, sometimes you get lonely. You get lonely. So who are you sharing time or space with when you get lonely, but you don't want to marry? It's like the gambler. It's an addiction. You don't necessarily like what you're addicted to and who you're addicted to. You want him, but not for marriage. It's the single life addiction. You by all social standards, are certifiably gorgeous, you're pretty, you're all of these things. And you know that you can get the attention of most men, so why then are you still single? Uh, Larry Blackman and Cameo said, because I don't want to get too serious, I just like having fun. Temporariness, my beloved sister, is written all over you. When you get ready to go out at night, you look in the mirror and you just look good. But you look good for you. That's not important. It is to you, right? But what's really important is how you look to me. What's more important is how you look to us. It's not as important how you look to you. If the goal is to meet the right brother, it's more important how you look to the right brother. But if temporariness is written all over you, if this is what you project, if you do not project long term, then you will not attract long-term men. This is why you attract short-term men. This is what you project. This is what you say you want. You have a short-term attitude about relationships and marriage. You call it a relationship. He translates it into how many men have you slept with. You were in a relationship with him and this guy over here, and he's saying that's too many miles. Maybe I can drive you on the weekends and have my other car as my everyday car. See, because you're so beautiful and smart and loving and all of these things, you confused, however, getting what you want with giving him what he wants. You don't actually ever get him. No, he always gets you. It's the hammer that strikes the nail. It's the 9-iron that strikes the golf ball. See, it's when lightning strikes the tree is damaged. You don't ever get him. He always gets you. In the name of being grammatically incorrect, you get gotten. Now, I say this because he, as a man, impresses upon you. He imprints upon you. And then you are not the same after you've been imprinted upon over and over again. And he says in his subconscious, that's too many miles. Something is probably wrong with this vehicle, or will soon be wrong with this vehicle. Now, he's not a mind reader, sister. So you're going to have to project who you really are. And who you really are, if you are this wonderful soul who's looking for something long-term, not girlfriend, boyfriend long-term. No. Wife, long-term. Wife, family. This is what you want to project. You do not want to project temporariness, because that's what he sees. And if you project that, then that's what you will attract. Sister, when the right brother sees you, when you're projecting the right stuff, when he sees you, he's not really looking at you. He's looking at the rest of his life unfold the moment he sees you. The single life addiction, it is likened unto the used car buying experience. So you're going to have to find a way to separate yourself from the culture. As always, I'm only here to help. I want for you guys what I want for myself. I want you guys to be healthy. I want you to be happy. I want you to live a life of longevity, one of fulfillment. But above all these things combined, I wish upon you many, many blessings. I am looking forward to your response. Thanks for sending those questions. As always, my name is Jay Jackson.